In this video, we're diving deep into the mind of one of the UFC's most determined athletes, a man who refuses to let a single loss define his entire legacy. Welcome back to KO News, where we track every controversial twist, shocking upset, and hidden storyline that stirs the fight world into a frenzy. If you're hyped to see how rivalries get settled and how new stars rise, make sure you give this video a like right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we've got in store. From Alexander Volkanovski's quest to reclaim his spot at the top, to the jaw-dropping drama in multiple weight classes, this is about to be one wild ride. Alexander Volkanovski is on a mission. After suffering a brutal knockout against Ilia Toria, an up-and-comer who left the entire featherweight division reeling, Volkanovski saw a shot at redemption slip through his fingers when Toria decided to jump up in weight. Now Toria has relinquished the featherweight belt and left the division wide open. It's a strange twist of fate. Volkanovski had been preparing for a possible rematch, one that would allow him to avenge the loss and quell any doubts about his capabilities. Instead, Toria's departure means there's a vacant throne just begging for a new king. Volkanovski has been vocal about not letting a single setback become the defining moment of his career. His words carry a palpable hunger. "I'm over losses," he says, "but I'm not done chasing them down either." In other words, he wants that redemption fight with Toria someday. But in the meantime, he'll focus on taking back the belt by any means necessary. Some critics claim he's too fixated on the past, while others argue he's simply harnessing that frustration to fuel his comeback. The most intriguing part? He says he's more than prepared to face a new generation of fighters, even if Toria himself isn't there to see him do it. That's where Diego Lopez steps in. At UFC 314, Lopez and Volkanovski will throw down for the vacant featherweight title. On paper, it's a clash of experience versus ambition. Volkanovski has carried belts, walked championship rounds, and faced off against the absolute best. Lopez, by contrast, is part of that so-called new school, a breed of fighters the Aussie champion wants to prove he can still handle. Lopez enters this opportunity off a scorching hot streak, with highlight reel finishes and a fearless attitude. Many fans see him as an unstoppable force, while others think this might be a case of too much, too soon. Volkanovski, however, loves challenging the notion that he's done. He wants to show the world he can beat these rising stars just as convincingly as the old guard. Beyond that, he's out to demonstrate there's still a gap between him and the rest of the division, one that no hungry newcomer can easily close. That never say die mentality resonates with die-hard UFC fans who've seen legends fade away when they lose the edge. Volkanovski insists his edge is sharper than ever, and the Lopez fight will prove it. In his own words, "I'm not waiting around. Give me a name, give me a title shot, I'll take it." Now he's got both.
How much do you wish it was Ilia?
Yeah, look, so that's what we thought it was going to be. I did the face-off. So originally, early, that's what I wanted. And then it got to a point where I didn't know what was happening. And you're hearing him even talk about maybe moving up. I'm like, is this just negotiations? Like, what's going on? So I didn't think too much in it. So we're still game planning for Ilia. And then you're hearing, could it maybe be Lopez? And then I'm like, so by this stage, I'm like, all right, just give me anyone now. So it was...
Of course, it's not just talk. Volkanovski's been candid about the changes he's made behind the scenes. In past camps, he sometimes juggled cheat meals, let his weight balloon, and then ramped up the intensity only in the final weeks. This time, everything is dialed in from day one. He's trimmed down earlier than usual, focusing on speed, agility, and precision. He calls it his new school training for the new school fighters, a subtle hint that he's not the type to get left behind as the sport evolves. For 14 grueling weeks leading up to UFC 314, he's sworn off every indulgence. No cheat meals, no lapses, no half-hearted sparring sessions. Anyone who knows Volkanovski knows he loves his food. So this is a massive personal sacrifice, one he believes will pay dividends. The idea is simple. If he can sustain championship-caliber discipline for months instead of just a few weeks, he'll enter the cage in peak condition. He's convinced that once the fans see how quick and dangerous he can be, they'll stop wondering if his time has passed. This sense of urgency reflects a deeper realization. If I want one last big run with the belt, it's gotta be 100% or nothing. His words don't sound desperate. They sound like a man driven to perfect his craft before it's too late. Whether it's enough to handle Lopez's onslaught remains to be seen, but it definitely cranks up the anticipation. Switching gears to the middleweight division, we have another story of redemption and refined skill. Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. Their first clash ended with a decision that left many fans split. Officially, Vettori walked away with the win, but Dolidze insists that if he'd been calmer, he could have finished the job. Now, they're set to run it back at UFC Vegas 104, and the stakes are through the roof. Why? Because Vettori is returning from a severe shoulder injury, a brutal tear that sidelined him for months and forced him to reevaluate his entire approach. No longer content to be just the tough guy who never stops, Vettori wants to fight smarter and punish opponents with skill as well as grit. He's publicly admitted that the balls-to-the-wall approach isn't viable anymore, especially with so many technical strikers and crafty grapplers emerging. Meanwhile, Dolidze claims he's leveled up in every area, particularly in controlling his emotions and capitalizing on openings. He's no longer fighting with anger. He's fighting with laser focus. For fans, it's a perfect recipe. Both men have something to prove, and both are willing to risk a lot to solidify their spot in a chaotic middleweight title chase. If Vettori can demonstrate that his mental shift transforms his already impressive durability into a strategic weapon, we might see the dawn of a new contender. If Dolidze outsmarts Vettori, it validates his claim that he was robbed in their first encounter and effectively breaks Vettori's momentum. Either way, don't blink. Drama is guaranteed when two guys with that much pride step into the octagon to settle unfinished business.
Man, feel good to be back and, doing what I love and back to normality finally. I'm used to just live, train, fight. The last one got taken away a few years ago, not like a few months ago, like more than a year ago. So it's good to be back to, live, train, and fight. I really thought that after my last fight, I had to take some time. If you can add, and in general, just like being smart, man. Like this game, just being tough and just being strong and just just balls to the wall kind of thing. Like I used to do. I believe it doesn't work no more. And I was one of the guys that was doing it a lot. Like trying to break guys just over time, just being in their face. It's not gonna be like that.
Now imagine a chessboard where every piece wants a shot at the king, but each move triggers new rivalries. That's the current state of the light heavyweight division. Jan Blachowicz, a former champ with a taste for epic comebacks, is determined to earn another crack at gold. First, he's got to get through a rising star named Carlos Ulberg at UFC London. On paper, many see Ulberg as an athletic specimen with the perfect mix of power and footwork. But Blachowicz has been here before, outworking younger talents with stoic determination and a single crushing shot of Polish power. Win or lose though, Jan's eyes are firmly fixed on Magomed Ankalaev. Their draw from December 2022 was unsatisfying to everyone involved, a tie that left the belt in limbo and the fans clamoring for more. More recently, Blachowicz has also teased the idea of a rematch with Alex P., another powerhouse who ended up besting him in a razor-thin decision. If Blachowicz can take out Ulberg impressively, he hopes the UFC will be forced to grant him either the Ankalaev showdown or that second dance with Alex. It's all swirling in a division that refuses to settle down. Every time we think we know who's next in line, a new contender emerges to flip the script. Blachowicz's approach is refreshingly direct. He's not waiting around for a phone call. He's calling the shots himself, setting up an entire chain of fights in his mind. Only time will tell if he actually gets his wish. In a sport as unpredictable as this, one upset is all it takes to scramble the rankings yet again. Meanwhile, swirling just outside the octagon is another storm, Dana White's new boxing promotion. Critics are already lining up, pointing to White's reputation for strict financial terms in the UFC. Will boxers suffer the same pay issues many MMA fighters have complained about? Some fans believe White might reinvent the pay structure, especially with his partnership with big-time investors like the Saudi-based entity known for changing the economics of fights. Others remain skeptical, claiming it'll be the same old story of underpayment and tight control. Michael Bisping offered some perspective, recalling how he once approached Dana White about boxer-like pay right before a title defense against Georges St-Pierre. Dana shut down his argument instantly, reminding Bisping that he'd already made a fortune in the UFC without even being a champion for most of his career. In boxing, as Dana told him, he would have likely made peanuts unless he was undefeated or holding a major title. Bisping, in retrospect, acknowledges the UFC's model, though not perfect, did allow him to earn a comfortable living. Whether that logic will carry over to Dana's boxing venture is the big question. The entire conversation hints at a possible shift in the fight game. Could White and his backers flip the financial script and attract top boxing talents who are tired of the old promoter systems? Or will it all dissolve into the same arguments about fighters deserving bigger shares of the revenue? One thing is for sure, the industry is watching closely. If White can replicate the UFC brand of hype and crowd-pleasing matchups in the squared circle, the lines between MMA and boxing might blur in ways we never saw coming.
I'll say this, I don't mind sharing it. I remember negotiating my purse with Dana for when I fought Georges St-Pierre. And I was asking for a certain figure, and it was a large figure. And I made a comparison to the boxing world. And Dana had a really good line for me. He said, "Oh, really? You want to use the boxing model now, Mike?" He said, "You have fought for me for about 12 years. You've never been a champion once. However, you've made a load of money. If you were in the boxing world, you would have made jack by now." And he's absolutely right.
Back inside the cage, a new name is buzzing on the lips of many fans. Maurício Ruffi. He's the fighter who shocked everyone at UFC 313 by finishing King Green with a devastating spinning wheel kick. One of those highlight finishes you can't help but watch in slow motion over and over. The ease and confidence with which Ruffi set up the strike drew immediate comparisons to a young Conor McGregor. Aljamain Sterling, a man who knows a thing or two about flashy finishes, went on record to say Ruffi's skill set could pose a threat to anyone. Ruffi's background is unorthodox. He doesn't come from a storied boxing lineage or a high-level wrestling team. Instead, he has a hybrid style gleaned from multiple disciplines, making him unpredictable. He stands with a relaxed stance, measuring range and timing before unleashing something completely unexpected. The question, of course, is whether he can replicate that success against top contenders. The hype train is real, and if the UFC matches him up with someone ranked higher, we'll find out soon enough if he's the next big thing or just an exciting highlight reel waiting to be tested. What's most interesting about Ruffi is that he's making waves at a time when the lightweight and welterweight divisions are stacked with dangerous, well-rounded athletes. A single spinning wheel kick can catapult you into stardom, but sustaining that aura requires consistency. The good news for Ruffi is that fans always love a flashy finisher, and the UFC knows exactly how to build on a viral moment. Keep your eyes on him. He might just become the next must-watch fighter.
I think Ruffi, man, I wasn't sold on him yet because obviously the level of talent he was fighting wasn't the highest. But this was a great test. I do think Bobby Green is past his prime years at this point. But that's, again, that wheel kick, that lands on anyone, they're getting dropped at the very bare minimum, and they're stunned really, really bad. So with that said, for him to land that, fake the kick, throw like a fake left hook, and then spin into that, the perfect timing, land that beautiful kick just flush. I was just like, oof.
Closing out the chaos is a brewing storm in the heavyweight division. Jon Jones, arguably the most polarizing figure in MMA history, finds himself in the crosshairs of multiple challengers. On social media, Magomed Ankalaev, famous for his unstoppable presence at light heavyweight, has called Jones out for running, and even teased a potential move that could pit him against Big Tom Aspinall. Of course, this all ties back to a comment from Jones that apparently vanished from Alex P's Instagram, in which he supposedly expressed disappointment that a fight with Alex wouldn't happen. Fans are scrambling to figure out if it was a fake screenshot or if Jones really did type that and delete it. Tom Aspinall has also jumped into the fray. Despite winning the heavyweight belt against another contender, he's not seen by Jones as the biggest name in the division. Tom only matters in the UK, Jones once wrote, suggesting that a showdown with Alex might draw far more global eyes. Meanwhile, Ankalaev is fueling the narrative that Jones is dodging him, calling him out with every chance he gets. Tom, for his part, simply added a handshake emoji to the conversation, a subtle but pointed signal that he's more than ready to sign on the dotted line. Is Jones playing mind games? Or is he genuinely uninterested in these matchups? Nobody can say for sure. All we know is that the heavyweight picture is suddenly brimming with personal feuds, social media drama, and speculation about who deserves to stand across from the legend next. If you love a good storyline, the next few months promise to deliver. From Alexander Volkanovski's unyielding quest to reclaim the featherweight throne to the swirling vortex of callouts and controversies in practically every division, the UFC is on the brink of a seismic shift. Every competitor has a story they're trying to tell. Volkanovski's redemption, Vettori and Dolidze's unfinished feud, Blachowicz's light heavyweight puzzle, Maurício Ruffi's meteoric rise, and the heavyweight drama with Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, and Ankalaev all at each other's throats. Each fight coming up threatens to rewrite the rankings and maybe even the history books. The most thrilling part? We haven't seen anything yet. If we know this sport, it's that one punch, one kick, or one tweet can change the game overnight. Will Volkanovski cement his place among the sport's all-time greats? Or will Diego Lopez usher in a new era? Could Vettori's strategic revamp put him in line for a title shot? Or will Dolidze make good on his promise to correct the injustice of their first match? And what about the unstoppable wave of rumors surrounding Dana White's boxing venture? Will it shape the future of combat sports? We'll be right here to cover every shocking twist and turn for you. So, before you head out, don't forget to smash that like button if you haven't already. Drop a comment below on who you think is the most underrated fighter in the UFC right now, and subscribe to KO News with notifications turned on. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment of the action. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Until then, stay curious, stay passionate, and stay ready, because in this sport, the next bombshell could be just around the corner.